Okay guys, this is going to be a recording on using the pipeline tool, the most recent pipeline tool. I'm logged into my college workstation. This is a very basic desktop. So I'm going to open a file browser, and you'll probably have a different subset of these folders. I've got all the folders because I'm faculty, but you'll probably have subset. One you should have available is a library, the N drive. So I'm going to go into the N drive. And on the N drive, there's a bunch of different stuff, one of which is pipeline. There's a folder called pipeline. So go inside that folder, and you should find an executable called projectmaker 6.8.6.exe. Now, I don't recommend using it from here. I would recommend copying a copy to your desktop, which is what I'm going to do. So now that that's done, I'm going to get ready to use it. So if I'm going to use it, I'm going to create my projects on my M drive. So I'm going to go to my M drive. As you can see, I have a rather messy M drive, and I have some projects I've already created. So I'm going to create a demonstration project. Now, students kind of like to go different ways. Some students, I mean, you can see that my projects, when I've got a folder here that's just projects. So some students like to keep all their projects for every single class in one big place. That's okay. Some students prefer to divide their projects up by classes or by topics, or however it is they want to divide them up. That's okay too. What you need for your projects is you need a folder to keep your projects in. And you can have more than one folder to keep your projects in. You can keep them by, a lot of students divide them up by class. That's kind of what I do with all my stuff. Depending on which class I'm teaching, I divide the projects up that way. So you can divide it up by class, or you can put it all in one big projects folder if you like. But each of these folders, each of these subfolders, is one projects folder. And this tool, the Project Maker, only deals with one folder at a time. And so I will demonstrate that. I'll make 2 demo project folders. Oh, I've already got an untitled here. What's in there? Oh dear. Okay. Anyway, I'm going to create some new project folders. Sorry about that little tangent there. So new, oh, this is that's the wrong menu. Let me try, there we go. New folder. And so it comes in called new folder. So I'm going to say projects, and I'm going to say, let's say digital creature, and whatever my class is. So I'll say, let's call it a systems class or whatever, or just demo 1, because I'm demonstrating here. So I'll pretend it's a class named demonstration 1, or a project folder title named demonstration 1. So there's one. And let's say I have a different class, a different course that I'm taking, and I need a projects folder for that. So I'll make another projects folder for that one, and I'll call that projects. Now, you don't have to call it projects, but it'll get confusing if you don't. Okay, like you won't really, you won't know where you're at. Also, don't use spaces in your names ever. I'm going to call this, and then this will be a VFX. Just, I used to teach in VFX 2, and then I'll call that demo number 2. So I've made 2 folders. Now they're basically just empty folders. If I double click, there's nothing in there. They're empty folders. But these are folders. See, there's DC Demo 1, and there's VFX Demo 2, right? So those already exist. You have to have a projects folder to keep your projects in already existing before you can use this tool. It has to already be there. So I've got a couple of sample ones I've created, and let's mess with them. Plus, we'll probably see some of my existing ones will show up when I launch the tool, but let's see how it goes. So I'm going to launch the tool, and it'll pop up that command line window, which you don't actually need. You can stow that. We haven't figured out a way yet to make that thing not pop up, but it's This is how it is. So we've got right here, I've got 3 folders in here that I've already told the system that these are folders that I keep projects in. Inside of each of these folders, or no, these are the projects. This is the folder that I'm keeping the projects in. Projects, DC Systems. You can see I've already added that project folder. And then these are the projects that are inside of it. And then these radio buttons are how I tell the software whether or not that folder is actually a projects folder, or if it's just a folder that happens to be there. Because sometimes you can have folders that have other folders in them. You might want to use them even though you don't want to mess with the other folders. This will let you get away with that. So I'm going to close that up. So that is the only projects folder, the only library of projects. It actually, I might get this changed. Instead of projects folder, I might call it projects library, because it's kind of a library of projects. It's a folder being used to hold projects. So it only understands that I have the one right now, because it's the only one I've told it about. And that's M Projects DC Systems. And so if I click on this, oh, it's got a couple of other ones. So there's DC Systems, VFX Dynamics, and Projects to Show Neo, which is one I did. Neo, you'll remember this. So if I change which folder I'm using from DC Systems to Projects, VFX, Dynamics, Effects, then suddenly that becomes the library of projects that I'm dealing with. And if I want to add one of those folders that I just created, my Demo 1 and VFX Demo 2, if I want to add those in and make those manipulatable with this tool, I have to add them in. So let's do that now. Let me close up the VFX Dynamics, and let me add a projects folder. Let's see, where are we? Where's my M drive? D-E-N-M. There we are. There's my M drive. And Projects DC Demo 1. So that's the one that's the folder you just saw me add earlier. So I'm going to tell the tool that happens to be a folder in which I wish to store projects, a project library. So I'm going to say OK. So now it's added it in and it's made it the current projects folder or projects library. So there it is. But you notice if I click the thing, there's nothing in there yet. That is an empty folder, because I haven't actually created any projects in there yet. It's just an empty folder. But it knows that this empty folder is where I'm keeping my projects. You can interact with only one library at a time with this particular tool. We may make it a little more sweeping at some point, but we're developing this as we go. So I'm going to add a new project in here. So let's say as part of my Demo 1 class, I have a project that's, I'm going to pretend it's my systems class, and I have a project that's the Python project in my case. And its project code is PYT. Your instructor will give you project codes for your projects. They're like always 3 letters. Something else that you'll notice is it says current artist code DEN. The very first time you launch this, it'll ask you for your artist code, and then once you have given it your artist code, it'll always remember it. And since I've launched this thing 1,000 times already, it always remembers who I am. But the very, very first time you launch it, it'll ask you for your artist code, and that's the 3-letter designation you were given by Noel. All right. In my case, it's DEN. That's me. So I'm going to add a new project to this Projects DC Demo project folder or library. So I'll add a new project to it, and let's look at the contents of this folder as we do these things, because that'll help you understand what's going on. So I'm going to move this over. I'm going to shift this over. And where is it? DC Demo 1. So I'm going to go inside here. Now that I've got my file browser set to show me hidden files. It makes a hidden file in here that lets this tool know that, oh, by the way, this is a projects folder. It's got some data in here. that it holds on to. Don't mess with this file, and if you delete it, you may just have to tell the tool that it's a projects folder. You shouldn't by default see this file. It should be a hidden file. I have my file browser set up so that I can see hidden files because I have to do a lot of techie stuff and I need to see them. Anyway, so I'm going to add a new project. So that's bing, adding a new project. So it wants to know my project code. Well, let's pretend my project code was Python, PYT. So PYT, that's my project code. All right, so I'll add that and I'll say, okay. So now, ba-bam, it adds all the folders necessary to do a project. Now, you may not need every single folder that's in here for a particular project. This is designed so that it will accommodate projects from any of the courses, from any of the classes. So, those of you who are in computer animation, for instance, you won't be dealing with Houdini at all, very likely. People in Digital Creature don't touch Houdini until second semester-ish. Some of you may not mess with Nuke that much. Like there's ZBrush I think everybody touches ZBrush. Oh no, I don't think they touch ZBrush in Visual Effects. But it's designed so that it'll do any kind of project. It's a facility-wide pipeline structure. So it's got everything in here. You will probably also notice that the way the Maya is organized and the way the Houdini is organized is going to be a bit different. But we'll get into that as well. So it gives you all the folders so that you've got some place to keep everything. Now this comes in as basically an empty structure at first. There's no assets, there's no R&D areas, and there's no shots. Assets, by the way, are like a character, a prop. This is all in the tech spec. Characters, props, sets, environments, like all of these things are assets. A shot is a shot. It's a chunk of footage from your movie. That's a shot. They tend to be numbered. And R&D is something we added to just kind of be a catch-all for, like if you need a workspace to do some research and development, that's what R&D stands for, research and development for, let's say cloth on a character, or if you want a research and development, smoke techniques, whatever it happens to be, you can make a research and development area as well. So we'll start by adding an asset. Now in the Python, one of the assets I use, well actually just in general, one of the assets I use is my jumpsuit girl. So I'll add that. Well no, let me do something more generic. Let's say your film has a cat in it. You've got a CG cat, okay? So then I'm going to add a new asset, and it's going to want an asset name. So I'm going to, just so that I can use camel case, I'm going to make it an alley cat. It's an alley cat. So capital A, L-L-E-Y, capital C-A-T, alley cat. That's called camel case, capitalizing each word, but you jam all the words together with no spaces. So alley cat is my new asset. And I'm going to say, okay. And then it tries to open them up, but it adds folders, subfolders to your area. There's a Nuke folder for Alley Cat, like for any test renders that you composite together. If you make movies and whatnot, that's where they would go. Houdini now has an Alley Cat folder structure, and that has all the subfolders that any Houdini workspace has. The Maya folder is a little bit different. Houdini divides very cleanly into assets and workspaces. Maya requires everything to be under one Maya workspace or it won't go through the render farm properly. So we've had to make some adaptations so that in the case of Alley Cat, it gets a folder in the assets area, which is where you keep all your Maya files. And I think cache has one, so if you do any like caches and stuff, you have place to put them. Data, yeah, there's one under data. So if you store your point weights or an atom file. Movies doesn't have anything, you'd have to make that on your own. Scenes doesn't have one because you're supposed to keep those in the assets for an asset. Source images, like for textures and whatnot, that's got an Alley Cat. So it created, as soon as I created the asset, it created all those folders for me. All right. So let's leave these guys open. Let's leave scenes open. Let's leave source images open. Let's leave data open. I think it might do something in scripts as well. Yes, it does. So there's scripts, stuff is inside there. We'll keep that open and I'll make a new shot. Okay, so a shot is always 3 digits. Again, this is all in the text space, the text spec. So 010, that'd be like the first shot you make is shot 010. And I'll make that shot and watch what happens inside the folders here. So, boing. Now, in Houdini, I've got a 010, and that's all. It's just another Houdini workspace with all the same standard Houdini folders in it. And the Maya, there's nothing under assets, but under data, you can see there's a 010. Scenes has a 010 to it. Scripts has one. And the scripts, by the way, that's for like shot-specific scripts. If you make a script or you have some data or something that's specifically just for that shot, then that's where it would go. Nuke has a 010. Some things don't get a thing added to them and some do. The ones that don't mean that we don't think you should need to put anything there. Although if it turns out, I really do need to put, for instance, if there's source images for the Alley Cat that are specific to just shot 010, then you can manually add that in if you need to, but you'd have to use the file browser, the Windows file browser, to do it. So let's look at what's going on inside this PYT den. So there's the base structure. There's Adobe Deliveries, Houdini, Maya, Nuke, and these are, if I start closing all these guys, it should look, that's kind of what we're seeing here, right? And if I open Maya, you'll see, let me close all the other ones that got opened. Close this, close scripts, close source images. There, so if I open that, you'll see if I go inside Maya, you see there it is, assets, autosave, blah, 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 all the way down. So if I go into scenes and I open that up, I've got 010 in global. So again, I'll go and look here, scenes, 010 in global. So this is a very simplified folder browser that lets you look at stuff and lets you make, basically what this is doing is all the grunt work of making all those folders for each of the kind of stuff you're going to do has been automated for you. So once you've made those things, you can't move stuff around or change it with the tool, but you can make it with the tool. So it's really important to put it where you want it sort of the first time, because rearranging it, it's just not that sophisticated a tool, and that's actually a problem in the industry as well. Let's see if there's anything I have left out. It's a shame there's nobody here to ask me questions, because that would help. Oh, and R&D, that's like, I don't know, that's if I was doing, let's say, Alley Cat underscore, let's say I wanted to do some, oh, nice spelling, Dad. Let's say I wanted to do some, oh geez, musculature? Muscles? Sure, muscles. If I want to do some muscles, research and development, I'll put Alley Cat muscles as an R&D, and I'll say, okay. And then it creates, under Houdini, there's Alley Cat muscles. Under Maya scenes, there's Alley Cat muscles. Under the Nuke, there's Alley Cat muscles. So it tries to put all the bits in that you're going to need. It doesn't do anything with ZBrush, because ZBrush is its own, its whole own animal. So how you deal with that, that's kind of going to be up to Chris, who teaches you this stuff, or whoever's teaching digital sculpting in computer animation. I'm not 100% certain who that is this year. I think it's Chris, but I'm not sure. He's very good at it, though. So I think that's pretty much everything. And assets, you could subdivide your assets too if you wanted to. Like if instead of just Alley Cat, I could do Alley Cat model, Alley Cat rig, if I wanted to, as part of an asset. Because the modeling and the rigging, if I wanted to keep that separate, I could do that. But all of these are under the PYT Den project. So this, you'd have a project for like your your whole, for whatever it is you're doing. Do you know what I mean? You could just divide it up either by class or by whatever. But that, like, each project you're assigned, you'd probably want to have a project built inside of your project folder library, and this would be the library. So let me change to the second one that I did. So right now I have demo 1 available in my list of project libraries, but that demo 2 one that I did for VFX, I haven't added that yet. So let's go down there. Where's the M drive? Let's just look and see if I can find it. Projects VFX demo 2. So I'm going to say OK, so that it'll make that part of my library of stuff. And you can see now projects VFX demo 2 is now the current projects folder library that I'm manipulating. And it's, you know, if we go up here and up again and up again, let's go to VFX demo 2. There it is, and it's got nothing in it yet. So let's add a new project, and let's see, what's a good project to start with? Let's do the tabletop, TBT, because you guys in VFX, you're probably doing the TBT right now. So I'm going to do a TBT. Okay, so then it's created all the stuff for the tabletop. So then I'm going to add a new asset, and it's probably going to be like a coffee cup, probably, if I'm remembering my tabletop. So I'm going to say coffee cup. Okay, and it adds all the appropriate folders. Now if I look inside of Houdini, you can see there's coffee cup, and inside coffee cup there's all the parts that you need to store all the Houdini stuff for that particular asset. And the other stuff works the same. And now both of those things are available in my pull down of project libraries that I can look at. So I could show you what my original project's DC systems look like, and you can see that there's my DC systems. These are the projects that are in it. I can go back to the demo 1, and you can see that that's pretty much left exactly as I left it. It remembers which folder you have open and which one you don't. I can go back to the demo 2, and I can see where I left that. If I close TBT Den and then go to demo 1 again, see, you notice I have the Python one open, but then if I go back to demo 2, it remembers that it's closed. So this is kind of how the thing works. Is you have sort of project library folders, which you have to make yourself in your M drive. And then inside of those is where you put all the project folders themselves. And this tool builds those project folders. I hope that all made sense. I'm going to publish this video. If you guys still have questions, please contact me directly, and I will do my best to help you out. Thanks.